I now have the privilege of introducing our two featured speakers this afternoon. And thank you, Di, for composing this for me. And Di has a very impressive style of writing, so you'll see that in just a moment. I'm going to read what she's written for me.
You do the accent, too?
I can't do that. I would not be able to do it justice. But I'm pleased to introduce to you our keynote speakers, Andrew BreitBart and special guest speaker James O'Keefe. Andrew is a nationally known author and publisher of the new media news portals BreitBart.com and BreitBart.tv. His political blog, Big Government, broke the Acorn child sex trafficking scandal with the help of James, an investigative journalist and filmmaker. I'm sure they'll both enjoy telling you about that today. After the scandal broke, the U.S. House and Senate voted to defund Acorn, and the U.S. Census cut ties with the group. More recently, Andrew's Big Government broke the Winergate scandal that led to the resignation of New York Representative...
That would be Wiener.
Wiener, okay. I wasn't sure about the politically correct pronunciation. Without which, of course, the victory last Tuesday would not have been possible. After exposing Representative Wiener, so to speak, the scandal led to his resignation. Last Tuesday, a special election in New York's 9th Congressional District produced Republican candidate Bob Turner as the winner. Andrew and James will share their perspectives on the decline of traditional media and discuss what they see for the future of journalism. The NRCC welcomes both Andrew BreitBart and James O'Keefe.
So we'll hand this back and forth at a furious pace. Well, thank you, New Hampshire, for allowing us to be in the live free or die state. Woo! Has a sexy ring to it in this particular political environment. James and I probably represent the most controversial aspect of the already controversial Tea Party movement, and that is because we represent the people and not the political parties or the establishment of whether it be the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. I'm registered as a Republican. I happen to be conservative, but the best thing that ever happened to this country, in my estimation, is the rise of we the people. And as a result of it, I think that the types of candidates that are starting to emerge as a result of that have the country at heart and not their long-term personal and business prospects in mind. Senator Ray said that she believes that this is about, saving the United States. It is about saving the United States, or else we enter into the realm of live free or die. And I don't want to die, and I want to live free, and that is what the battle is about. And we are a center-right country. We've always been a center-right country. My argument is the reason why we moved to the precipice is because we've allowed for not our politics, but our culture to veer extraordinarily to the left, to create a generation of young kids that don't even know what it means to be an American. So much so that if you got my book, I'm an American Studies major from Tulane, and it's symbolic of the type of degrees that people are getting in the humanities departments. It might as well have been an anti-American studies program. And so kids don't go through our system now, growing up patriotic and being knowledgeable on the Constitution. They grow up with that while I'm in their neighborhoods, or thankfully one of their former neighborhoods, Howard Zinn and Noam Chomsky, are the people who dictate to the young kids what the appropriate point of view is. And it's a distinctly anti-American point of view. that pits our founding fathers and their values against the citizens. It's so unbelievably contrarian. And James O'Keefe and I run into this battle, this existential battle on the journalistic front line. Because the people who graduated with the American Studies degrees and the journalism degrees happen to be steeped in the concept of social justice and economic equality and economic justice, which are simply euphemisms for Marxism. And so while the left in our country, knowing that we're not a left-of-center country, has created a series of euphemisms to try and push their left-of-center point of view, and it's worked, because we still are a center-right country, and as journalists, we run up against that same type of wordplay. And the type of wordplay that we deal with in the era of Columbia Journalism School or Northwestern or University of Missouri is we run up against this concept, and I believe it's a dangerous and false concept, of objective and neutral journalism. I don't believe it exists, and I believe that when you have Time Magazine, and you've got Newsweek Magazine, and ABC, CBS, and NBC, and CNN, and MSNBC, attacking James and I because we're honest that we come from a point of view, and that somehow we're the bane of journalism, yet they're the good journalists because they're objective. Is there anyone in this room that thinks that ABC, CBS, or NBC comes from an objectively neutral position and treats both parties or both political philosophies with equality? No. It's a big lie, and everybody knows it. And so our very existence is a threat to them. We could falsely claim that we're neutral, but it's obvious that we're not. There is a spiritual and existential battle going on out there. It's been going on for the longest time, and those who graduated from the humanities departments and the J schools over the last 40 years got into it not so that they could come home to their parents or to their friends and come back and say, I'm the world's best stenographer. They do so because they want to affect change. And that is why in the last election cycle, that term had a Pavlovian reaction from the journalists, because change is what they want, change is what they got, and going into this 2012 election cycle, they're going to double down on trying to support the progressive movement. And I think that James O'Keefe was the person who shot the first bullet. It's a metaphor. There's a left track, it's a metaphor. They still teach metaphors at these local colleges, right? I believe that what happened in September of 2009, when we launched the Acorn thing, started the battle. And the battle was at the journalistic front, and it was at the cultural front. And we intentionally released the first video, the Baltimore video, on Thursday. I believe that was the 10th. And then we intentionally released the second one, the Washington, D.C. one, on Friday, the 11th. Why those 2 days? Because the next day was going to be 9/12, which was the big 9/12 event at the Capitol that had about 1 million people. And we got reports that were about a third of the signs at that event were Acorn signs, like Go Hannah and James. People got it. They understood that we were finally starting to report on, in an aggressive way, those progressive institutions that have kept the Democrats in power using thuggery, intimidation, all at the taxpayers' expense. And that is why, when James has gone out, we had to come up with a strategy that hit them so quickly, so mercilessly, that they didn't know what hit them. We predicted that the mainstream media would go along with Acorn's lies, and we built that into our strategy so that by the time the fourth video happened, they could no longer go to Bertha Lewis, the head of Acorn, who was lying, because they were made to look as foolish as Acorn for going along with it the entire time. We told them, we're not going to tell you how many videos we have. That's not objective journalism. That's understanding that the only way to expose the story was to use tricks against the mainstream media to make them look as foolish and as biased as humanly possible, and it worked. So within 2 months, Acorn was basically obliterated, and the election of Scott Brown occurred under the cleanest of possible environments, because we had citizen journalists inspired by James and Anna's techniques to go out there, to be the citizen journalists, the not objective, but the citizen journalists to go out there and to film the SEIU and to film the polls outside to see if people are busing people in there. And the left cannot handle sunlight as a disinfectant, and they're losing their minds. And so those people that thought that the progressive movement was permanently ascendant as of November of 2008 were hit between the eyes. Their glass jaw was smashed when Scott Brown was elected. A year later, after a year of the mainstream media trying to attack the Tea Party, they lost in November of 2009 in the most major way, and they thought that they would be able to establish a rebellion in the form of what happened in Wisconsin after that election, and even Wisconsin fought back. And now, last Tuesday, we had the election of Bob Turner. You don't think that these people are scared senseless, that the people have finally stood up and started to fight back? So that's what James and I represent. I think that we're very much just we the people, Tea Party, average Joes. We're trying to tell you that there's nothing keeping you from joining the precise battle that we're engaged in. Every person in America now has the ability to be a journalist.
I'm James O'Keefe, filmmaker, investigative journalist. You know me from most recently the Medicaid expose in Maine, in Ohio, National Public Radio. Vivian Schiller resigned in March after our investigation, of course, Acorn. I think what Andrew and I have in common, a couple things, is that we both have a passion for exposing the media itself. The media in this country is the source of, I think, a lot of injustice. And you heard the word social justice used. I don't understand what that is. I know what injustice is. And one of the greatest injustices is waste, fraud, and abuse in government and other institutions. There's a lot of controversy surrounding me, and as I said to some of the people here yesterday, one of the greatest controversies is what to call me. There's such a struggle in the halls of the Columbia Journalism School. Well, he's not a journalist. Well, I've actually come to the conclusion that I know what I am. I'm a community organizer. There's been so many requests after yesterday to play this clip. I brought a video today to show you. Many of you have heard of the Acorn story. You've heard that these people are corrupt. You've heard this, you've heard that. You've heard the media was unjust and imbalanced. But I actually want to show you, I think, one of the most incredible media moments, and maybe Andrew would agree, of Jon Stewart at The Daily Show, excoriating Acorn and the mainstream media. But in this Jon Stewart clip, he actually plays a lot of what these employees across the country said about declaring child prostitutes as dependents on the tax forms. So why don't we go ahead and listen to this 5-minute clip from Jon Stewart, one of 2 clips I'll play today. That's, of course, my organization, Project Veritas. They want to help us out. And this is Jon Stewart on Acorn. Turn the volume all the way up. It's on mute. On the left there. Scroll over. with your arrow. There you go.
There you go.
Now play.
There's an assessment of tax on community organizations such as Acorn. Ever since Barack Obama emerged on the national stage, conservatives have been obsessed with the group, alleging that they're thugs or committing voter fraud. Well, those accusations didn't really pan out. But that won't stop their paranoia, as evidenced by this hidden camera investigation of an unlikely duo looking for tax help.
Scenario. A young woman pretending to be a prostitute and a man pretending to run for Congress one day walk into Acorn's Baltimore headquarters
And are promptly shown the door.
Is it against the law, Maryland? Prostitution?
Anything that the government saying running from is always against the law. You should get somebody here who taxes so they can talk to you. Sorry, show you how you make it legal. So there's a code for it, okay?
A code for prostitution?
You might have to name it something else. Performance arts, let's see, independent arts. You can be that. Your business is a performing arts. But you are. Okay, so you're not lying. So stop saying,
Got it.
Or you could refer to yourself as a toll booth operator. Genital contractor. Used vagina salesman. What's remarkable is how unfazed the Acorn people are by this question and situation. This is clearly not the first time they've been hearing this. Oh, you're a prostitute and a pimp, and you'd like to work through the tax implications of said relationship. Hey, Tanya, get me Form 7D. But I'm sure Acorn has a line that they won't cross.
There's going to be 13 El Salvadorian girls coming into this house, and they're very young, and we don't want to put them on the books.
Please tell me 13 underage Salvadorian sex slaves is the line.
I'll support what you talk about in terms. You can use them as a dependent.
Okay.
You can use them as a dependent because they're living in the house.
Are you kidding me? Did you hear what they said? Oh yeah, what's that, 13? Oh yeah, a hooker's dozen. Yeah, let me... I'm going to need another form. By the way, you should try Guatemalans. The shipping charges are high. All right, so this Acorn office has some bad apples. But in Baltimore, I've seen the Wire. The place is dull. You wouldn't see this kind of thing a few miles away at the Acorn office in D.C.
My girlfriend's a prostitute.
Okay.
And I don't know if...
I'm kind of figuring that.
I'm using the money. You know what I mean?
Right, but with the police action, you don't know where it's coming from. Is what we're trying to tell you.
All right.
We're looking out for you.
Okay, that's D.C. I've seen C-SPAN. It's all. That would never happen in New York.
You buy a house with a backyard. You put it right in there. We're going to sing a song of yourself. Here it is.
Right. A tuna and put the money in
And a tin and push it in there. I'll put it in and I'll wrap it up, but that's what grass over.
Oh, by the way, that reminds me. Hey, kids. If you want to start your own prostitution ring, and they're underage, and you're tired of paying tribute to the government and your family, a tin can covered in grass makes a great safety deposit box. You're welcome. And that's the more you wish you didn't know. All right. So, good news, bad news. It's good news, bad news. The bad news, Acorn appears to be a corrupt organization that aids and abets criminals and gets millions of dollars in taxpayer money. The good news is, it seems to be very well run. Good service. No questions left unanswered. If the DMV was run this well, we'd probably have universal health care by now. Well, this is an impressive expose. I would love to know the intrepid journalist who broke this story. 60 Minutes, the AP, that guy who gets the predators.
You're a dumbest tongue of the world. You're not.
I'm one of the...
And you played it on those tapes.
Yeah, I'm one of the whitest guys ever.
Are you? First of all, you don't have to tell us you're a white guy. Your pimp costume appears to be a fur coat on top of your Andover uniform. Second of all, investigative media, give me a camera, great. Where the hell were you? You know who broke this story? These two. You're telling me that two kids from the cast of High School Musical 3 can break this story with a video camera and their grandmother's chinchilla coat, and you got nothing? They did it for $3,000. That's Blitzer's monthly beard wetback budget. It cost CNN that much just to turn on their hologram machine. I'm a fake journalist, and I'm embarrassed these guys scooped me. Let's get to work, people!
Okay, so that was, of course, that was incredible, but I think the point that Andrew are going to make to you today is that I think that him and I are non-linear thinkers.